Welcome and thank you for tuning into the JoyTutor podcast. I am your host, JoAnna Williams. Together, we will unpack, learn, teach, and celebrate the journey of emerging entrepreneurs and courageous trailblazers. Let's dig in.
So how do I introduce you to the world? I mean, given that we are high school teen moms and now we are entrepreneurs and generational curse breakers and trendsetters and trailblazers. Okay.
All of that.
Help me introduce you to the world.
Well, anybody that would know me technically would know me by JoAnna Stovall. I'm sure you remember, of course, that name was coined in high school because, I was somewhat, I guess, fashionable. I don't know how they came up with that, but it just stuck one day. It was like Elle, like the magazine. It's like, okay, I'll go with it. And so, yeah, here we are.
Well, wait a minute. That name is now associated with New York Fashion Week.
Yes, it is.
Okay, come on and shine now. We are both in sync for a reason. So please do tell. Give us the tea.
It is associated with New York Fashion Week. It is associated with Chattanooga Fashion Expo, and among some other things that I've been working on. And we are growing and blossoming, and I am excited about everything that is happening and taking place. It's blowing up. That's all I can say. It's blowing up.
The glow up is real. Okay, so let's get into it. Elle, you and I both share similar journeys as we are both teen mothers, but we are also generational curse breakers, whereas we have raised beautiful ladies. But while we were raising our children, we had big dreams, right?
Yes, big dreams, big dreams. They were just paused, and we had to push play again, later on, but they were accomplished. And that's the important thing, that they were accomplished, and we are yet still accomplishing. That's what's important. And so I'm excited about that because not only do we get to see the manifestation of that in our own lives, but we get to see how we are an encouragement to others and allow them to, have that same fruit begin to process and bud in their lives. We plant seeds and water seeds, whether we realize it or not.
The pause. You know how many times we have paused our dreams and our businesses because life was happening.
Yes. Life happened and we just had to keep pressing pause. And for our millennials and the babies who know nothing about having to press pause, but oftentimes in life we find ourselves where we had to, like you said, press that pause button or had to put things on hold before we could actually accomplish being a mom. What do we have to do? Well, those babies had needs before, our dreams could manifest. And I'm grateful for those pauses because those pauses gave us the strength. It gave us the determination. It gave us the tools, the tenacity, and everything else that was thrown inside that pot to stir and to create, what we're seeing now and what's to come. And, my grandmother used to always talk about how when you boil meat, the fat always rises to the top and you skim the fat off of the top. So all the impurities, those things that we didn't need, the fat, so to say, rose to the top. So we have the meat and the substance of who we are and our foundation and our strength and, that of our, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, our mothers, our ancestors, those who have poured into us and gave us the strength and foundation of who we've become and who we are to become, because we're still growing. So I'm excited about this because even though, you're on your JoyTutor journey and I'm on my Elle Stovall journey and we have other journeys to come, but we'll see the fruit of what we're doing.
Absolutely.
And I'm so excited about that.
You literally have manifestation sitting behind you, those beautiful pieces.
Yes.
So right behind you are some of the pieces that you have presented in New York Fashion Week. That was
during the height of the pandemic, which was so odd that I got the invitation during that time, got everything together and I went. And what was odd was I am a major procrastinator, which is horrible. And I was working on my pieces and couldn't get everything together, and got to New York. I had 4 pieces done. I was sitting in the hotel room, and I think I had called you because I had left thread at home, and I was freaking out because I had left thread at home. I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to show. This is going to be a wasted trip. And I called a young lady who I used to go to school with that was working in New York. And she was like, just give me a minute. She went to her job and got thread and brought it to the hotel to me. And by, let's see, 4 o'clock the next day, I had completed 8 pieces. Don't ask me where it came from. I don't know if the little birds came out like in, what was that, Cinderella when they made the gown. I don't know if they came out of milk, but I got it done. But it was an amazing experience. Out of that, I got other invitations, but unfortunately, remember, I caught COVID. And so it's been a recuperating phase from there, dealing with my health. But I do have standing invitations to return when my health is back in place. So I'm excited about that. But it was an amazing experience for my brand. It taught me something, because you know how we all deal with that imposter syndrome where it's, am I good enough? Am I good enough? But it taught me, like, when you doubt yourself, other people really see your worth. And so you have to begin to see yourself oftentimes, I don't want to say the way other people see you, but you have to see yourself as valuable as you are, and stop discounting who you are based on the naysayers or based on how you're feeling on that day. Because, we can destroy ourselves in a moment of weakness.
Now we're on the other side of that. Now we are literally standing in our power.
Yes.
We are no longer allowing life to bump us around, and we are no longer maneuvering our dreams around life. No, life is going to have to maneuver around our dreams, because we are steadfast and moving forward.
I'm learning not to dread the what ifs. I'm a chronic overthinker. And so because I'm a chronic, my husband's always fussing at me. He's like, you just overthink all the time. My daughter's like, you're such a worry wart. That I've been like that my entire life. I'm always the what if. I've got to have a plan for the what if, and I've got to have a plan for the what ifs, what if, And but I'm learning not to fear the what if. I'm learning that if the what if happens, so sometimes we have to go with the ebbs and flows of life, and oftentimes it may not go the direction we want it to go. But we have the power to redirect those things, and it may take us a little longer. It may be a little slower than we wanted, but we can redirect that thing back into the direction that we're supposed to be going. And it's like, okay, let's go. Just like when I caught COVID, I was not expecting to be oxygen dependent as long as I was. I was not expecting the health issues that I've had afterwards. I wasn't expecting, which I shared with you, the cancer scares afterwards, and the surgeries and the procedures that I've had afterwards, and everything else. And, now I'm sitting here facing another surgery and various things coming up. And, I'm like, oh my God, the hiccups. And I'm really trying to, launch and do this. And it's like, this is life, you just keep going, So guess what? While I'm laid up after surgery, what am I going to do? I guess I'll sketch some things out, and I let my creative ideas flow. And I have to stop looking at what I'm losing and think about what I can gain in the process, So we have to stop dreading the what ifs and fearing the what ifs, and look at what we can gain during the time of the what if, because there's so much to gain in our what ifs.
Around what ifs and overthinking, I too am an overthinker, and I have found myself surrendering. That has been my word, especially since I am completely bald.
Did you get rid of Joy Island?
I got rid of the little island. So there was just a little patch of hair last night. I had my daughter Kelly shave the little hair island that was left in the front. It's gone. It's gone. I am completely bald, and just to sit in that moment and really see myself, I was okay with it. I was at peace. My hair follicles, broke up with me.
Right.
Those days are over. So now I have to find the new me in this journey. I mean, there were a lot of moments, a lot of nights, a lot of days where I was just simply shivering and afraid, literally just crying, because your hair, as a Black woman for so long, my identity was tied to my hair.
Yes.
My crown, right? And when you lose your hair, it's you lose part of how you viewed yourself and that identity and that persona. I mean, you can mohawk your hair, you can curl your hair, baby wave, baby hair, and
Exactly.
all of those things. And I had gotten to a place where I really fully and finally embraced my natural curly hair.
Mhm.
But you know how mainstream society has promoted straight hair. And I wanted the straight hair, the perm hair. I remember days crying for a perm. Fast forward, I found myself worth. I love myself. And it's almost like God said, well, I'm going to test you on that. Test you in the biggest way. Since you said that you have now healed all of your childhood trauma, your wounds, you know your self worth, you love yourself, I'm going to test you. Can you love yourself with who you are without your hair? Can you still see yourself without your hair? That's powerful.
Mhm.
And absolutely, I can. Now, will I go outside today without this wig? Oh, absolutely not, because Lee, you did not tell me that being bald like this was cold. Okay.
Yes, it's cold.
You did
Very
not
cold.
tell, I did not get the memo that
It's
it is
cold.
cold. Let me tell
Yes.
you something. I was like, wait, what was that? Oh, that was a breeze. That
Yeah, that's a
it was
breeze.
like
And
the
it
Chicago
slapped
Hulk.
your head. Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah,
slapped. Yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I looked around for that Chicago Hulk. You know what I'm talking about because we both from the south side of Chicago, and that cold is different. So yeah, I didn't get the memo that is that cold. What we're gonna
Yes.
do in the summer, I don't know, sis. To be continued. But we are here, okay. And again, my
Yes.
word is surrender. You guys, I may pop on one day with the ball. Yeah, you'll get it one day. But for now, it is 43 degrees in New York. I shall not.
Say no, not yet. Not now.
not, not yet, okay? And the way these 2022 wigs are set up with the baby hair, listen, honey, you can't tell us nothing. I was like, okay, God.
The other side of it is you will learn that wigs are hot. So,
Oh,
and when we into this other side of life, where we have our own personal summers, then soon the wigs just, you snatch them off. So it's two sides to this bald life,
it's a
and
lot.
and much like you, I was caught in the hair thing, because being a biracial child, my mom's Korean, my father's African American, and I had this long, wavy, fabulous hair that my family made a big deal about because you got the good hair, so to say,
Mm-hmm.
and had long hair, and I cut it grew back, and went through. I lost my hair before hair grew back. Then one day my hair just started kind of like I said, attacking me, like hold up, wait a minute, I got like Mortal Kombat going on my scalp here. What's happening? And it would start where I would just cut it shorter and shorter because it was the pain. It was, started with, I guess it's considered like, painful alopecia in a sense, because my scalp will get inflamed, and, I'll get like sores and inflammate, like the little inflammation bruises and different things like that. And um, I just started having to cut it shorter and shorter to get relief. And finally one day it was like, just took the razor to it, was like, I gotta cut it off. And a lot of people, why don't you wear wigs? I did the wig thing, we were in ministry. So I did the wig
Yeah.
thing for a minute. And then finally one day I was like, forget all this. I'm over it. I'm over people. Either you're going to take these prayers and this gospel with this bald head, or you're not going to take it at all. One of the two. But it was the first time that I actually had to look at me, to look. I have this picture. I was sitting in my bathroom. I had put on lashes. I had totally shaved my head. And I was just sitting in the bathroom. I was just looking in the camera, and where I tried to put on a smile to like to be cute, like, oh, yay. But it was the first time that I had actually just looked at me. And I don't know if you remember in high school, everybody thought I was conceited. I was named, I was kind of like, oh, she's conceited. And nobody knew that I battled with the worst case of low self-esteem. I was like, if y'all I really don't like myself. I really think I'm ugly, and that's going back into childhood trauma. That's something totally, totally,
Mm-hmm.
on this. But it was the first time that I actually got to look at myself without hair, without, what we would consider to accentuate beauty. and that I could actually absorb and take me in and say, you're beautiful, and I had to battle with that. It's like, well, am I beautiful? Is he going to think I'm beautiful? Or, what's my family going to say? Or especially, being from the Korean culture, they're like really staunch about a lot of things, and very traditional about a lot of things. And my mom's, with her being older, she's considered from the old country, so a lot of traditions and mindsets. And so it's a lot of things like, oh, what's going to happen? How are people going to react? And I just had to get to the place like, it's not about people, it's about you. And so I just had to learn to become more and more comfortable. And one thing my husband always said this to me, but it didn't register until just like this one day when we were, dealing with me and my little bald head issue. And he said, men are attracted to confidence. He said, you could have the best shape. He said, you could be the smallest size, you could have the longest hair, you could be the most gorgeous woman. But if you don't have confidence, he said, a man is not going to be attracted to you. He said, you have to be confident in whatever you have. And it was like I said, he's always said that. But then it just something that day just clicked like, oh, so that means I got to rock this size 18, and this bald head. And I just got to do me, So it was like a moment like, oh, wait, hold on, let me get me back, because at that point I began to realize I lost so much of me, so much of me being a mom, lost so much of me being a wife, because, as being raised by my great grandmother, you know how they raise you when you become a mom is no longer about you. So you can't do these things anymore because it's about this child. And when I became a wife, well, you can't do this because you don't embarrass your husband. You carry your husband's name. You're a representative of your husband. And so you have a family. Then I became in ministry. When I got in ministry, you're a representative of God. So it was all of these boundaries and barriers. And so I felt like I could never be me. And so I had created this persona of what I was supposed to be, while deep down inside, I was literally dying, withering away. And so losing my hair put me in a position where I had to learn to love Lee. I had to learn to love who Lee was. I had to reconcile with the little girl inside of me and begin to forgive her. Although she did nothing wrong, but I blamed her for so many things. So it was a whole process that I had to go through. But it was the first time it was like, okay, let me love me for me. We all go through it. One day you may like the bald head, and one day it's like, oh my God, I want some hair, But then I've learned in that, the days I want some hair, I'll go grab one of my girls out the closet and I throw on. And the days I don't want any hair, then, we got this little slick, milk dud up here and we're good, process. But I wouldn't change this journey because I've learned so much about me. If I had to lose it to become who I am today, I'm like, it was worth it. It was so worth it.
Absolutely. Well, you definitely made it easy for me to transition over because, honey, you look beautiful and absolutely stunning.
Thank
Bald. I love it. And you definitely do rock it with confidence. It shows. To look at you from when we were walking through the hallways of CVS and then to watch you walk out on the runway, New York Fashion Week, bald head glowing, confidence glowing. It was such a blessing and an honor to watch you evolve, to watch you grow, which is the reason why I am honoring you with the Creator Award at my JoyTutor Celebrations of Courage event. So deserving of it. To give a little background, is my company, as some may already know, but for those who do not know, JoyTutor was created to help those everyday individuals like you and myself, Lee, right?
Yes.
Who have big dreams, but have family and have life. But we do not want to give up on our dreams, and we need a tribe, and we need motivation, and we need support. And you have been that support for me, and I have been that support for you, and I've watched you grow. And you are so deserving of the Creator Award June 4th here in Brooklyn, as well as virtual. If you can attend in person, that's fine. If not, you can attend via online Zoom. So yes, I officially nominate you with the
Thank
Creator Award.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That means so much.
I mean,
I
look what's sitting
definitely.
behind you, and you have so much more to do.
Yes. Yes.
I'm so excited. I mean, we are finally living in our dreams, Lee. Like we're here. We are here. And I'm sorry I keep calling you Lee because folks
Oh, it's
will
fine.
be looking for you under your, your brand name, which is your name as well, which is Elle Stovall. But
Yes.
I'm your good Judy. You are my good Judy. So
Right. Exactly. And one thing I constantly think about, and I know you remember this, when we were walking in Brooklyn, we were walking to the promenade, and we had stopped and we sat on those stairs of, I think it was a brownstone, and both of us are just sitting there. We were like, like it's gotta get better than this. It was just like, oh my God, it's gotta get better than this. And we were just talking about where we wanted to be in the next year. And even though we weren't quite where we wanted to be, it didn't stop us to keep from persevering and, just keep going and keep driving. And I remember because that was November and I was there was the beginning of April for the Project Runway casting call that they
earlier,
did.
2015, right?
Yes, I went early. And it was funny how that happened because, long story short, I had quit this job this particular day. It was a very toxic work environment, and I was like, you know what, I am done. It's like kind of one of those things. I didn't even give a 2-week notice. It was like, I'm out. Bye. Give my check. I'm out of here. And when I got in the car, when Leonard picked me up, I looked at my phone and my email, and it says Project Runway casting, and it gave the date. It was the following Wednesday, and I was like, oh, okay. And so in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, okay, how can I make this work with a last minute ticket and it's right before Easter? How am I going to get to Project Runway? And so a friend of mine is like, well, if everybody on your friends list gave you $1, you could go. And I was like, yeah, so I kind of put the joke out there, like she said, da 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 da. So I had people literally like, yeah, we'll give it. Oh, so literally by the time that was Thursday. Yeah, so by Friday night, literally everything was paid for. Then a friend that I grew up with that actually went to grade school and went to high school with us, she lives in the Bronx. And she was like, you can stay with me, no worries. We've got this. You're going to this audition. It's like, okay, got there and did not progress the way I wanted to. Of course, I wanted to be on the show, but they were excited and they were like, come back next year. Gave me some points to work on, come back next year. So I was excited about that. I'm like, yes. The next year I couldn't come back because as you know, my grandmother was in hospice during the auditions. And so where was I with my grandmother, of course. And I was like, okay, so I'll go back the next year. And then life happened. So I didn't go back. And every year after that, life has happened. But and then last year I had thought about it, but I was still dealing with the health issues from COVID. And so I was like, you know what? I think when they come back around, I may contemplate doing it again. I've grown so much from there and I've learned so much from that. And life has taught me so much. I think I would be in a better position. Would be more mature.
So from March 2015, fast forward November, you come down to visit. You're like, hey, wait, what? I posted my New York State ID on Facebook.
Yeah.
Of course, with the numbers blacked out. But I was like, hey, y'all. Everyone was like, wait, what is happening right now? Here we are 7 years later. But when you came out in that November, New York, let me tell you, it's not for the weak of heart.
Oh, no,
And
absolutely not.
It's not, right? So when you came, mind you, I just cut all my hair off. I'd never cut my hair short. And I did it because my husband was telling me I like your hair long. How many times or how often do we compromise for others?
Mm-hmm.
Why? If I wanted my hair short, why did I not cut my hair short? Why? Because I was trying to keep him happy, appease him. And again, going back to which another podcast show I spoke about, I realized that I was performing for love.
Mm-hmm.
No more. Now that I'm free from that, I'm in this new relationship where the energy was completely different. And I was a free bird, honey. Cut all the hair off. I'm in these New York streets. I
Yes,
gained
I
weight in New York. Remember?
yes. Because I came in like, where'd this come from?
I know. You were like, what's you're popping in all the right places, Joe. Girl, I gained that little love weight, and but at the same time though, I was experiencing something that I'd never experienced before because I'm the older sister of four girls, but my mother worked. You know how our moms worked hard.
Mhm.
So I was a latchkey kid, and I had to be responsible for myself and my sister at a very young age. So I say all that to say I did not. I was always looking out for somebody else, and I did not have that freedom to do what I wanted to do because I transitioned from being a big sister to a teen mom at 17. And here comes 2015, where all three of my children are in college and I have this new babe in New York, and for you to come out, and I'm like, okay, now what do
Like,
I do?
what's next? Like, what do we do next?
I'm like, okay, I remember talking to you and saying, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to have my own podcast, but I did not do it because I was afraid. So here we are now. I'm doing my podcast.
Yes. Yes. But you know what I am taking as a motto, because sometimes I talk myself out of things because of fear.
Mhm.
I'll again those what ifs, like I'm learning not to fear the what ifs. I'm learning be afraid but do it anyway.
Yes.
So it's like if I'm afraid, do it anyway. It's like don't allow fear to stagnate me where I don't move forward. Because we have people who, I've been this way, that we get scared and what happens? We literally freeze. And you have people who are frozen in fear for years, for decades, generation families have been frozen in fear for generations. So I am learning, like, be afraid, but do it anyway. What breaks fear? I can't swim, but I'm gonna jump out here anyway.
Absolutely.
Hopefully somebody will throw me, life preserver.
And that's what courage is. Courage is moving forward, even though you
Yes,
are afraid.
yes, yes, absolutely. And much like yourself, I am a natural born caregiver. So that's
Mm,
just something in me, regardless of who I'm around, some way. And I'm caregiving responsibility was ripped from my hands. And
yeah.
I literally didn't know what to do with myself. And I already was kind of, dealing with the depression. And it was a sense of relief. And then it wasn't. I was teetering into a depression because it was like, what do I do with myself now?
Hmm.
Because it's like, I don't have anyone to take care of. I don't have to take care of my husband in a sense. He's very independent. I don't have a husband that I've got to serve him his dinner. And yeah, of course, as his wife, because of how I was raised, I wash his clothes. I make sure I fix his dinner and all, that type of thing. So we have a pretty independent marriage. We live pretty independent lives of each other as well as collectively. I find myself just like, what do I do? He's like, well, do something with yourself so you're not sitting here moping. And it's like, okay, but I had to begin to learn is what do I like? What don't I like? Is learning another side of me because I've always been that caregiver and having to
Yeah.
take care of someone else. And my daughter's not here and having to worry about taking care of her. And
Hmm.
although we always feel like we have to take care of our babies, even when they're away, it still put me in a position and it made me introspectively look at me and say, what do I need for me?
Yeah.
And so that's where a lot of self-care begin to come in effort of taking care of someone else. We neglect us, whether it's and not just even so much of getting our nails done or our bubble baths or things that those things are wonderful, but just self-care in the sense of just taking a moment and just sitting in peace and quiet,
Yeah.
whether it be going to your car and just having a moment to breathe, or some my little getaway is going to go get an ice cream cone, sitting in my car and just enjoying and absorbing some peace and quiet. So I begin to really take advantage of those things, like, okay, this is self-care for me. And you've cared for everyone else. Now care for yourself. taking my health a little bit more seriously. Because like I said, after COVID and dealing with all these different health issues and autoimmune issues and, additional cancer scare and all this other stuff that's come up, it's like, okay, you need to make your health more of a priority than you have, because you've been so busy taking care of everyone else, you're not taking
Mm-hmm.
care of yourself. So it makes you put life in a different position when you have to look at yourself and really, kind of focus on self-care for yourself. But I'm grateful for that transition that took place. But I realized, again, going back to that day sitting on that porch,
Yeah.
if we had not had that moment, it was like that moment.
Thank you for joining and listening in. We greatly appreciate your time. To learn more about our business development classes, such as how to start a business, business plan development, and if you have a Wix website and you're struggling with updates, we got you.
Always go back to
I'm
that
also
moment.
excited to
Because both of us
announce
are
that
like,
we've
okay, our
launched our
kids are grown.
new
We don't have these
entrepreneur roadmap
responsibilities
and
anymore. So
execution
what's
planner.
stopping us?
Along with
We've got to do this. Again, to see us now.
I mean, as you were speaking about the moment on the brownstone stoop, I was looking at how much we have grown, as far as fear, which is a false sense of reality.
Yes.
And I have confirmed those things that I was afraid of to be false. And I had to, the only way to do that was to actually do it, was to face it. But since the stoop moment, November 2015, and knowing what you know today, if there were three things that you could tell yourself that day, what would it be?
Oh, goodness. Oh, three things I could tell myself that day.
Yeah, walking up to her, you see you and I sitting there. The sun was beaming on us. The water was over here on to the right. We could see down
Yes.
to the pier. And you walk up. You're walking down the street. You now live in New York. You are a successful fashion designer. You are where you want to be, your future self. What would your future self and who you are today tell you? What pieces of advice would you give?
I probably would have told her, don't sweat the small stuff. Definitely don't sweat the small stuff. We make such a big deal over the things that don't matter, and we make them take so much precedence over the things that matter, that we lose focus. So stay on your path, no matter how distracted you get, stay on your path. And I would have told her, just do it. Just
Yeah,
do it.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love
Yeah.
it. For me, I would have told myself that I was enough.
Yes.
You are
Oh,
enough.
wow.
Ooh,
Yes.
I would have
Yeah.
hugged myself. I would have gave myself a kiss shower because I do that for my nieces and nephews, a kiss shower. I kiss them like this,
Mhm.
all going all circle around their face. I would have given myself a kiss shower and said, you are enough. You were
Yeah.
always enough. That's number one. Number two, I want you to say this every day and know this. You are loved. You are loved. And lastly, take your power back.
Yeah. Yes.
Of a force to be reckoned with,
Yeah.
because those are the things that has helped me, and those are the very things that I have today. Is that I love myself in a way that I did not even know that I needed at that time. I
Mhm.
had no clue. But I will say certain things or certain behaviors that I would do would shine a light on my insecurities,
Mhm.
even though I was confident on the outside. But, holding my tongue or doing certain things to be sure that I am not rocking the boat per se, no more.
Mhm.
Now I'm at peace with, okay, if you're upset that I do not want to join you because I am having a self care day, I'm at peace with that.
Right.
And as Miss Tabitha Brown has taught me, because I too have the spirit, the takeover spirit, okay, and the caregiver spirit, I mind my business. Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you, Tabitha Brown.
Yes.
Mind your business, Joe. Mind your business.
I'm learning that. Like, stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mind your business. So with all that being said, where are we today? Today we have our podcast live and going. Amazing. Yay. We have our empowerment events. We also, I've created my own website. Well, I did back then, but now it is my baby. It is exactly where I wanted and needed it to be. Started over from scratch since then. And so I've taken and applied my 18 years of project management experience with my love for entrepreneurship and my takeover spirit and caregiver spirit and applied that to entrepreneurship. And now I help entrepreneurs get unstuck, get out of their head. I go and fight the devil, who is the details, and help entrepreneurs get organized, help entrepreneurs come up with a roadmap of, okay, this is all that's on my plate, Joe. I don't know where to start. I'm stressed. I'm frazzled. Okay, sis, let's get organized. Let's create a roadmap. And now we're going to break it down and do an execution plan. And I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I have so many clients.
And you love doing it. That's the good
I
thing.
enjoy
You love doing it. So that is the
It is
good
my
thing. And it
passion.
shows. Yes, and it shows.
That's a beautiful thing, to get up and do what you love. I lose track of time, you know what? Like Tori, she came in, she was like, I'm so stressed out. We already know that Tori is an amazing interior designer.
Yes, yes.
Amazing. If you guys would like to see her work, go to augustconcepts.com or something, or TikTok, okay? Amazing. But she just had so many ideas as far as, you know, having her own wallpaper line, having her own bedding line. And we all, as entrepreneurs, I'm guilty of it as well, but I practice what I preach. We have to get it out of our heads, and we have to get it on paper and get it organized where we can see the MVP, right? We can see the bigger picture down the road and then work our way back. And now we turn what we can see into actionable steps. That's easy for me. And other people are like, why is that easy for you?
And see, for me, I think the biggest thing I struggle with, and I'm just so transparent about this with people, I can give you all the steps to do everything you need to be successful. And I have done it. And I see people launch off and they're doing great. And I'm still sitting there like, so, so I've had to learn to take my own advice. And so I've had to do that role. And you and I have had those conversations like, Joe, like, what do I do? But I've had to learn to kind of do that, like, okay, you're the person that you're talking to. What are you going to do? And the biggest thing has been for me is the procrastination, but I also realize procrastination has also come as a result of fear. So that's why I had to start learning, like, kick fear in the mind, like get fear up out of here, because it will slow your progress. And it will, and it will make you lose a lot of opportunities because you're behind, what you're supposed to be doing. So, it's, if I could get through that part where it's like, I'm, because in every project for me starts off like, okay, how do I do this? I know how to do it. And I used to always deal with this thing like, oh my God, because I'm self-taught. And okay, yeah, I went to fashion design school to learn the technical side of it, which, yeah, that's a whole nother story, because it's like, did I really learn the technical side of it? No, because part of it I was teaching the classes. So it's like, okay, that was a whole nother story, whole nother story. And so it's like, all right, before I left, my chair, she was like, why am I letting you come back here taking student loans to teach my classes? And it's like, know.
You were naturally born to do it.
Yeah, and literally I sat down. I don't know if I ever told you that, how I started sewing. I was working, so obviously
That
we were
was
still
going
living in
to be my
Chicago.
next question. Like,
Oh,
how did fashion and your passion find you?
you know, it's something that I've had since I was a little girl. The women in my family were always very fashionable. I had one of my older aunts. She was a fashion model, and I always played in her makeup and played in her clothes. And she wasn't one of those ones. She would fuss at me about playing in it. But she's like, "Well, since you want to play in my shoes, let me show you how to walk in them. Since you want to play in my clothes, let me show you how to wear them. Since you want to play in my jewelry, let me show you how to put it on. You want to play in my makeup, let me show you how to do the makeup." And then of course she realized, "Stay out of my stuff. And a matter of fact, this is my aunt that passed right before my grandmother. And but she's fabulous. Oh my God, she was like our glamour girl. And my grandmother, she was the glamour girl, and had her that she was from the era that you dressed up to go to the grocery store. So and then during the time, was her and her husband had multiple businesses, and they did business with the city of Chicago with the first Mayor Daley. So, they were kind of well to do. And, so she had to look the part, basically, African Americans doing business to the caliber that they were. And so, with all that being said, just fashion was just kind of like in our household. And so I always just kind of loved the fashion. And my aunt had magazines, and I was always looking through the magazines and everything. And I wanted to do fashion design at CVS, but my grandmother was like, "No, you need to get business skills." She's like, "No, sewing clothes is not going to put food on your table. You need to get business skills." So of course I ended up in the business department. And but I could not get away from fashion, could not get away from wanting to make clothes. And it's like, okay. So one day I was working, matter of fact, you remember the steel industry over on 130th, over in all those areas in Chicago. I was working over there for this company, and just it was real strong on me to go get a sewing machine after work. So I had went to, this is when on 75th and Stony Island, when that little, it was there, and then it turned to Ames, and then it turned back to Zaire, and it turned back to Ames. And yeah, so it was Ames at that point. So I went to Ames, just grabbed a sewing machine and threw it in the back of the car, went to the house, got, Leonard and Chrissy, and we had a service at church that night. So we ran a church, got to church, they had a guest, preacher there or whatever. And so he called me up and he was like, "Oh, God is giving you the gift to bring beauty to the body of Christ." And it's like, okay, all right. And he's like, God is going to give you dreams and visions of design. It's like, okay. So kind of went with it, whatever. The next day, I opened a sewing machine and, just trying to, I could put the machine together. I could not even thread the machine. I got so frustrated with the machine. After an hour, I threw it back in the box. I was like, "I'm returning this thing." Threw it in the box, threw it in the corner, forgot all about the machine. So that was December. Fast forward to August. Was moving some things around. I was like, "Oh my God, I forgot this thing was here." So pulled it out, sat down, and just started. I threaded the machine, and then just kind of thought about, okay, let me see if I can do something with it. Cut out the pattern of a shirt, just sat down and literally cut out the pattern of a shirt and sewed it and made my first shirt. And I was sitting there like, "Oh, okay, I can do this." And so I've told everybody, I'm like, okay, God taught me how to sew. That is literally like, he blessed my hands. And anything that I've learned from there, because I just kept, and this is before the time of YouTube and we could watch videos or whatever. It was just, I literally would sit there like, okay, how do I do this? And I would literally feel like I was supernaturally just taught how to do it. And so when we left Chicago, we moved to Michigan. I ended up working for a company that they did outsourced tailoring for JCPenney's. And so that's where I really started learning the ins and outs of tailoring men's clothes. And that's what actually took me to the next level. Then you remember when I opened my alterations and tailoring shop there in Michigan. And then after that, a couple of years later, we shortly we went to Atlanta. And Atlanta is where I just began to really dive into the fashion industry. And the rest is like where I am. So it's like, yeah, yeah. So it's like it's like, it's almost like, because I wasn't really, how can I put it? It's almost like because I wasn't going after it, like it came to me. And it just, like I said, like it just found me and was like, okay, this is what you're about to do. And
Yeah.
it's like I said, the journey has been great. It's been great. And I've done things that I never thought I could do. Who would have thought that I would show the New York Fashion Week? You know, like what? I did
We
not.
did in 2015, sitting on that stoop.
Yes. Yes.
We definitely did. You know, we saw me interviewing and working with entrepreneurs and helping them grow with my own company and empowering and speaking and teaching. We saw you as the, you know, the most branded and amazing seamstress and fashion designer. You know, you
Yes.
are truly a trend setter. So with that being said, what's next?
What's next? Well, I'm here in the country.
Do
So,
tell, do tell.
yes, I am here in Clarksville, Tennessee. My husband loves it here, so I believe that we're going to be here for a moment. If I had my way, I will be in a lovely, high rise in New York City somewhere. But, for now, we are here in the country. I like to call it country as the city, but so I am going to take advantage because there really is not a heavy fashion footprint here, but there are a lot of designers here that are looking to build a footprint. So I am looking to make to try to pull together a fashion council here. So I'm kind of doing some research and working on some things with that, and looking to see what we can get started with that. I'm doing some work with Chattanooga Fashion Expo and the lady that's over that, and looking to get some footing with that, and as well as see what I could do with Nashville Fashion Week. So that's some few things here for me here in Tennessee. And of course, like I said, I have an open invitation still with New York Fashion Week. I have actually an open invitation for 3 shows that have asked me to come, seeing how things go with, health this year, so that I can take part of that. On building some collections, some things that I've been working on are great. I'm excited to get them going and to release them. Yeah, so that's what's next so far that I can share. So
That's a lot. That's good. That sounds
yeah.
amazing. I mean, to definitely, you know, blaze a new trail there within that area, Clarksville, Tennessee, to be
Mhm.
the founder, right? And
Yes.
to open up that community in the area to different a fashion network. That will be amazing. So I'm excited for you and happy and very grateful. Like I said, I am excited to honor you June 4th, Celebrations of Courage, virtual, in person in Brooklyn. Elle Stovall, the Creator Award recipient,
Thank you.
trailblazer. Um, and I will also add, you are definitely a shero in my eyes
Right.
because you have no clue the light you have shined, on me. It has been rough trying to get settled and acclimated in New York. I could not have done it without your support, without your love, without your encouraging words. You were my gap stander when I was tired and crying, and you were like, "No, Joe, you have a calling, sis. You have work to do. You know how many people are waiting on you."
Oh, yes. Those texts. And it's like, how did you know? She's
Yes,
like, I
I'm
just
like, you felt it, right? But here we are, and we are in sync. The fact that we both popped on Zoom, it was not planned. We are in
yes, this was
yellow,
not planned at all.
and yellow represents the solar plexus of the chakras, which is all about willpower and courage. And so it is only fitting and appropriate that we showed up today with these colors. But if
Yes.
anyone wants to find more information about you, Miss Elle Stovall, please let them know. Where can they find you and get in touch with you?
Yes, well, they can visit my website at ellstovall.com, and it's ELLESTOVALL.com. And of course, they can find me on Facebook under the same name, as well as TikTok and Instagram at Elle Stovall.
All the medias, all the social
Yeah.
medias, right?
Yeah.
Well, we will definitely have to do another interview, a follow-up interview a few months down the line, or maybe an annual
Yes.
checkup, to see where you are, how much you have grown. You never know. One day we might actually be buying or purchasing one of those brownstones and interviews
Yes.
from the steps, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining, hon. I appreciate you. Good luck,
Thank
and
you.
we shall talk soon.
Yes, thank you for having me. And again, thank you for the award.
You are most welcome.
Thank you for joining and listening in. We greatly appreciate your time. To learn more about our business development classes, such as how to start a business, business plan development, and if you have a Wix website and you're struggling with updates, we got you. I'm also excited to announce that we've launched our new Entrepreneur Roadmap and Execution Planner along with the class. The class is maxed out at 14 registrants, therefore the class books very fast. However, we do have waitlists available. Sign up at JoyTutor.com. Also, last but not least, you can follow us on all the social medias at JoyTutor or JoyTutor Inc. Until next time, take care.
What we do is reconnect people to these women and clients, to themselves, to their power, to their confidence, so that they can live the life that they really want. There's this quote by the author Pressfield that says, most of us have two lives, the life we live and the unlived life within us. And so our mission at Audacious Inner Works is about tapping into that unlived life and supporting people to bring it forth, to live audaciously and to live their truth.